morning, everyone. Today, we're going to dive into the fascinating world of the cell membrane and the mechanism of the cellular transport. Let's start at the beginning, shall we? The cell membrane, also known as the plasma membrane, is a vital component of all cells. It forms the outer boundary of the cell, separating the internal environment from the internal surroundings. The cell membrane plays a crucial role in maintaining cellular homeostasis and facilitating the transport of substances in and out of the cell. The cell membrane is primarily composed of a phospholipid bilayer with embedded proteins, cholesterol, and carbohydrates. These structures gives the membrane both flexibility and stability, allowing it to selectively control the movement of substances into and out of the cell. But how do substances actually get through the cell membrane? An excellent question. The transport of substances across the cell membrane occurs through various mechanisms, including passive transport, active transport, and vesicular transport. In passive transport, substances move across the cell membrane without the input of energy, driven by the concentration of gradient. This includes simple diffusion, facilitated diffusion, and osmosis, which are essential for the movement of small molecules and water into and out of the cell. So what about active transport? Active transport, which move molecules against concentration gradients, requires the release of energy. Usually, adenosine triphosphate or ATP is the source of this energy. This suggests that molecules have the ability to actively move from an area of low concentration to one high of concentration to establish and preserve the concentration gradients necessary for cellular function. Ions and other molecules are actively transported across the cell membrane by ion pumps and the other specialized carrier proteins. Active transport mechanism includes primary active transport, in which a carrier protein uses energy to pump substances across the membrane, and secondary active transport, where the movement of one substance is coupled to the movement of another. And what about vesicular transport? Vesicles are tiny, membrane-bound sacs that carry large molecules or particles across the cell membrane. This process consists of two stages: exocytosis, which release materials from the cell by fusing vesicles with the cell membrane; endocytosis, in which the cell engulfs foreign objects by creating a vesicle around them. Vesicular transport is essential for the cell's ability to absorb nutrients, eliminate waste, and secrete a variety of substances. Another question about transport mechanism. Substances require transport channels pass through cell membranes. These methods include vesicular transport, active transport, passive diffusion, and assisted diffusion, among many more. Each of these systems contribute differently to the upkeep of diverse cellular functions and cellular homeostasis. And what about passive diffusion? Passive diffusion is a natural process by which molecules move from an area of high concentration to one low concentration. The intrinsic kinetic energy of the molecules drives this movement, negating the need for energy input from the cell. Larger, more polar molecules may need the help of certain transport proteins, whereas smaller, Non-polar molecules like carbon dioxide and oxygen can readily diffuse through the phospholipid bilayer. And the last question is about acid diffusion. Through a mechanism called aided diffusion, transport proteins help molecules move across the cell membrane. Since this is a passive action, the cell doesn't need any energy to complete it. Rather, it depends on the molecule's concentration gradient during transportation. And last more questions about phosphorylated diffusion. Molecules that are difficult to diffuse across the lipid bilayer, such as ions or glucose, can flow through the channels or carriers these proteins generate thanks to a mechanism called facilitated diffusion. Only specific molecules are permitted to cross the membrane in this highly selective process, which doesn't need energy from the cell. Now, these transport mechanisms are fundamental to the functioning of all cells, allowing them to take in nutrients, expel waste, and communicate with their environment. Understanding the cell membrane transport mechanism is key to comprehending the intricate process that sustains life at the cellular level. And that's all for today, everyone. Remember to review the material and don't hesitate to ask conversation questions if anything is unclear. Have a great day. Thank you for watching and bye-bye.